Hello, my name is Matt Crone. This is my presentation for Module 3, Special Education Interviews with a Special Education Teacher and our Special Education Administration. To fit all the info my Special Education Administration gave me, I only included her portion of the interview to this slide. My teacher's response to child find procedures was she knew there are many aspects of screening practices and early identification measures that need to be addressed, and many individuals are involved in these processes. She just wasn't real clear or sure on what some of the child find procedures were. My admin went into more depth with the screening processes to how we identify students and the process of checking for eligibility for special education services. We advertise our ability to help the students throughout the entire community. She went on to say that if a child is already of school age, we use the SIT process to identify children that are at risk or in need of assistance or possible special education intervention. When asked what the most challenging part of your role with regards to special education and why, my teacher stressed the importance of making sure all of our students are given the tools that they'll need to be as successful as they can be. My admin stated the most challenging for her is confronting those teachers that are unwilling to work with students and other teachers to the best of their ability. Teachers, she also said teachers who are unwilling to be a part of the solution and become part of the problem are difficult to work with, which is kind of obvious. However, she makes a point to help those teachers understand what a student's disability is and that they need to help modify and accommodate for that student. Difference of work in the classroom is something that's taught in education programs in college. She feels we just struggle to see that from time to time in our districts. Next, what's the most rewarding part of your job when dealing with special education students, parents, and other teachers? Both the teacher and the administration agreed on one key element. They want to see the students succeed. Finding out what works best for the student through evaluating, identifying processes, and then being able to see them succeed with skills such as work ethic, honesty, and kindness. I feel, as a future building leader, this would be the same beliefs of any general education, special education, or administrator if they were asked for the most rewarding part of their job in education is. Next I asked, what advice do you have on supervision of special education staff, including paras, speech pathologists, whoever? After getting the teacher's response and looking at it through the eyes of a future administrator, it's kind of a sad but true type of statement she gave me. We hope we can hire professional people that'll go above and beyond what's asked of them to do, but we know some won't. I don't agree with her that many won't, but some do need that guidance and constant supervision. Our SPED administration does a great job of keeping teachers, paras, and any staff involved up to speed on what's needed on providing the care our SPED students need. By attending and observing meetings, it's probably the best time to see all the SPED staff in action, besides the teachers in the classroom. Our administrator said that they're often moving about the county and not in the same spot 2 days in a row, typically. So in order to supervise adequately, pre-planning with them is helpful to know where they're going to be attending that day. She says paras are fairly easy to supervise now that we have an electronic clock in, clock out system. Observing them in the classroom is a good idea, and noticing how they interact with the students and the teachers. We try to make sure that the paras are recognizing that they are there to teach strategies and not just give the answers. When asked, how do you work effectively with parents of special needs children? Common ground both interviews provided that communicating and keep parents informed is key to being effective. The struggle for our teacher was trying to hold the parent to the same standard that she does with the student, just simply by contacting. By this, she meant that finding best ways to keep in touch with them, by phone, email, whatever it would be. To avoid issues with staying legal, Our admin gets the paperwork and has parent signatures and on all the copies of legal documents. This was of the utmost importance to her. Just another thing between both of them, just letting the parents know how important their child is to us and that we're here to provide whatever assistance. That goes a long way with parents. Sometimes parents just need to know that someone's there for them because they're struggling. Slide. How do you work with regular ed teachers with students with special needs? SPED Gen Ed teachers bounce ideas off one another. Our admin gives suggestions to search for effective ways to make lessons accommodate all the learners and modifications to those. Teachers are invited to all team meetings, can request meetings as well. Communication and pre-planning between the Gen Ed and SPED teachers is also very important when preparing for students with special needs, although it's hard for them to find time to do that together. As a future administrator, I feel like that's an important step to take to make sure that I'm thinking about that and I'm making time for my teachers, my Gen Ed, my SPED teachers to meet. Okay, what advice would they have for me, a future building leader? I like both my teacher and my admin's responses. My teacher was saying how forming relationships and connections is a key element, not only with just the students, but the teacher as well. The teacher in particular I was interviewing, who had an issue earlier in the year, young lady has problems with temper and things like that, had locked herself in the bathroom, and as the assistant principal, I was called down to, handle the situation, find out what was going on, and we both stood outside the bathroom for a while, scratching our heads because I didn't have a simple solution either, but we actually ended up finding a teacher in the building that she related to, the student related to well, and got her out and calmed down. We resolved the situation, but I think the biggest factor in that was building that relationship with the teacher, letting her know that she didn't have to face those kinds of things alone. For the admin side, just taking everything in and processing before you just make rash decisions. Taking it one day at a time. We don't have to get everything done in one time. So that's a good thing to remember as an administrator. How do you describe the role of the special education teacher and the building principal? Both, again, were very, very similar responses in both interviews. In a nutshell, the teacher provides different instructional levels for identified students in a safe and positive learning environment. Teachers also conduct IEP meetings, write IEPs, modify assignments, keep track of students through the progress reports, and progress monitoring, provide behavioral plans, and just kind of the all-around needs. Building principal, leader of the building, making sure the staff is providing successful learning environment for the students by managing building staff, standards, community connections, all that good stuff. Last question that I was asked was, what characteristics do you seek in aspiring administrators with regards to special education? Basically, administration needs to be at the meetings, have high expectations, be supportive, firm, fair. We need to know the situation at hand, be able to hold teachers accountable. Understanding was another common factor in both responses. My thoughts about my future role as an administrator and the responsibilities regarding special education. Things I took away from the interviews, which, by the way, was a great tool to have, not only in the questions given and the great information provided in my building about our SPED program now as the assistant principal here, but also the relationship and bond that I got to form with my between me and the special education department. So for that, I give a big thank you for this assignment. The key points I wanted to make were key things I took away from this: taking things one day at a time, knowing each day provides a new opportunity, constant and consistent management of the staff and accountability for the staff, um, knowing what's going on in their classrooms, knowing that they're reaching out and talking with general education teachers for accommodations, moderations for their class, provide successful learning environment, build relationship connections with both staff and the students, empathetic with special needs students, decent, fair, and supportive, and high expectations and an open mind. So again, I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to branch out and get in touch with the special education department. And this concludes my presentation.